Welcome to the Fit Girl Magic podcast. If you are ready to find your inner magic, develop great habits, and a rock steady mindset to feel confident, comfortable, and fit in your body, you are in the right place. I am Kim Barnes Jefferson, and I'll be giving you weekly doses of health, fitness, and life tips sprinkled with humor and real talk. If you're ready to be consistent without the stress of perfection, magic makers, it's time to slip into your favorite pair of PJs, grab some coffee, kick back, and listen to today's show. Hey, magic makers, it's this week's iTunes review. Amy W. Fitness says, Kim knows her stuff. Keeps it real on all levels. 5 stars. Awesome podcast series on relatable topics that women deal with. Kim's advice, along with her sense of humor, is what everyone needs to find their fit girl magic. Well, thank you so much, Amy W. Fitness. That warms my heart. If you haven't yet left your review, please head over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and hit rate. And then hopefully it's a 5-star hint and leave me a review. Thanks. Okay, magic makers. I typically, I don't like to date these episodes, but here we are. We're at the end of the year. And I don't know, I think probably for the last, maybe 10 years, I have done a, end of the year wrap up. And today we're doing 24 things to leave in 2024. And, we are leaving things behind that are no longer serving us. And, Marie Kondo, even though she has backpedaled since she's had children, it's here for us to leave this behind, the things that no longer bring us joy. And I see so many of you, I'm guilty as charged, so I'm not pointing fingers, holding on to shit because we think we should, right? Think about it. How many times have we gone to the grocery store and we're just going to pick up 1 or 2 things? Next thing you know, we're juggling 20 things and we're not going to get one of those little hand carts, right? And so many of us have so much mental clutter up here that it's time to say, girl, bye. And stop weighing ourselves down with all this stuff that we just don't need to hold on to anymore. And I feel that so many of you will tell me, Kim, I'm doing all the right things. And your body is still like, girlfriend, I'm not giving it up. Not today. And I feel that. And here's where we have to have that come to Jesus conversation that ask ourselves, maybe it's what I'm doing. And, I know sometimes when I start working with people, I am the depends coach, right? And I start working with people and sometimes I blow up your world. And I don't mean to do it in a mean way. I do it in a way because we have to stop clinging to things we've always done because we've always done it. We have to start to embrace new things. And again, guilty. I ate the same way for 15 fucking years. And guess what? My body did not change. And did I nail what I was doing overnight? Hell no. It took me a while to figure out foods that worked for my body. It figured out a rhythm of, I didn't need to eat 5 damn meals anymore. I didn't need to work out for 2 hours anymore. It took time for me to mentally adjust to that, but also physically adjust to that. But what I knew was I wanted to like what I saw in the mirror. I was sick of the gym being my job. And so here's where you have to kind of have that moment with yourself and ask yourself, are you just sick of your own shit? Because once you get sick of your own shit, then you're able to see behind the curtain. I like to think about it as the Wizard of Oz, right? They're telling Dorothy all these things she needs to do, but it was all she had to do was click her heels 3 times and she had everything she needed at home. But we keep looking outside of ourselves. Oh my God, I need this diet. Oh my God, I need this workout. Oh my God, I need, versus just sitting in ourselves and saying, what is actually working? And asking that hard fucking question. Because I know diet culture taught us we got to hustle, we got to grind, and have to be freaking miserable in order for us to find success. And I'm going to tell you, hard no, right? It no longer has to be hard. I want working out and eating to feel effortless, not feeling like I have to go through and scan through some fucking list, or is it good, is it bad, or beat the shit out of myself because I had one more pecan than I was supposed to, right? That's not what this is all about. Hey, Magic Makers, it is time to break up with all the BS dieting tips we held on to. I see you. You're doing all the right things, yet that belly fat still won't budge. You feel like your body RSVP'd for the struggle bus and forgot to invite you to the results party. I get that. Girl, it is not you. It's the outdated myths and habits you've been holding on to. Trust me, that was me. I've held on to a lot of things for over a decade. That is why I created the 24 myths to leave behind in 2024. This isn't some obvious drink more, sleep more, although you should. Advice. Nope. It is the real deal with truth bombs about what's holding you back and how to ditch it for good. Here's the kicker. You're not going to nail all 24 things. Perfection is so last season. Just pick 1 to 3 things and start to watch your progress skyrocket. Think about saying goodbye to that all or nothing dieting drama, breaking up with the punishing workouts, and ditching that toxic scale obsession. Sound like a plan? Let's make 2025 the year that you finally stop spinning your wheels and start seeing results that stick. So go grab your guide right now and start kissing those myths goodbye. Your future self is going to thank you, and so will your favorite pair of jeans. So go to the link in my bio, snag a copy, and be done with the fluff. Hey, DM me once you read it. I want to hear which myths that you are ditching first. So now let's say with me up front, even if you look weird doing this at the gym or wherever you were listening to this, you're not going to get this all right now. And guess what? That's okay. This is the year you start to give yourself grace over perfection. Always. The goal isn't to suddenly become this enlightened being, right? And to be this perfect unicorn that like eats broccoli because it's just amazing. And if you love broccoli, rock on to yourself. But let's be honest, like how many of us are like, yeah, I'm going to honestly choose the broccoli over something else? Instead, I want you to, as you're listening to these 24 things, I want you to pick 3 things that you can ditch for good. And then I want you to celebrate things that you're like, yeah, I've already broken through that myth. Okay. And before we dive in, I'd love for you to reach out to me and tell me, what have you already kissed goodbye? And what are you still clinging on to that you need to break free of? Trust me, I got some shit too. We all have shit. And so just make sure, like, DM me or tag me on the socials. I want to celebrate your wins with you. Okay. So enough of this damn preamble. Get into the juice, Kim. All right. This is in no particular order. This is just things I like as I was writing down, I came up with. All or nothing thinking. And this one, who isn't guilty of this, right? You had a cookie. Boom. It's blown. It's ruined. It's ruined. Well, here's the thing. Life isn't black and white, and life is going to be messy. Life is a shade of gray. I had a cookie. I just say, was it frickin' delicious? And I move on. If it wasn't delicious, stop eating it. It's okay if I don't do things in a perfect order. It's okay. Something is better than nothing. And that's what I always want you to flip that around, instead of feeling like if you make one false move, there's an analogy that I heard is that if I were running out the door, which many of us do, if I was running out the door and I spilled coffee on myself, would I burn my whole outfit? Or would I go back in the kitchen or maybe in the car, wipe off the coffee and still keep going? That's what I want you to think about when you make this one little hiccup. What's the next step? What's the next move? The myth of the perfect diet, right? There's no perfect diet out there, and that's the one thing, especially over 40, that's just not happening for anybody. The one thing that most of us need to really look at is how much protein that we're eating. but there's no like diet out there that's going to save you from yourself, right? You'll be waiting forever. So just start where you are. And I'm a big fan of, taking a look at what you're eating, do an assessment, like for 3 to 5 days. What are you eating? And don't try to be good. For 3 to 5 days, what are you eating? And honestly assess, okay, we all know the shit that we're eating that just never is going to be healthy, right? But I also want you to take a look and say to myself, okay, give myself credit first. Where am I doing really well, right? Am I having protein with every meal? Great, awesome. Am I having good fats, right? What does this look like for me? And give yourself the credit. Now, the other thing I want you to really, I'm going to be very honest here, is that, you don't need to be vegan in order to lose weight, unless that brings you joy. Right? Don't feel that veganism, ketoism, whatever is going to save you from yourself. Because at some point you're going to lose your shit unless you enjoy eating in that manner. I do believe that unless you have some moral issue with animals, women over 40, we need some form of protein. We need it. We absolutely need it because we are fighting muscle loss. Okay. And if you need help and support in trying to figure out your whole nutrition, all that, reach out to me. I am more than happy to help you figure that out. Third, overcomplicating, right? We can overthink like nobody's business, right? Your meal plan doesn't have to look like a college thesis. It's about how can we simplify it? And as a coach, I don't give meal plans. I don't do that. The best you can get from me is that every month in my Fit Girl Magic Society, I will give you recipes and there will be a meal plan associated with the recipes. But that's it. The days of here's a meal plan, I don't do that anymore because what I found is that it teaches you not to think, right? You're beholden to me to tell you what to eat. And I want you to start to learn how to trust yourself, right? Build that self-trust muscle in you. Because if, God forbid, there's something on that meal plan that your grocery store doesn't have, or you're traveling, or you're at a friend's house and you are like paralyzed because you couldn't find whatever it is, I don't want that for you. So the goal here is, how do we make things effortless? How do we make things simple? And the way I found to help you with that is like, take it down to the bare bones. Come up with, I work with you a lot to come up with your non-negotiables, because that is how you know that you're staying the course. That is how you don't make yourself nutso. All right. The scale doesn't dictate your worth. And I am not someone who encourages you to step on the scale. If stepping on the scale, totally messes with your mind, get off that damn thing. Get off right now. But if you're finding yourself that it helps you, great. It's all right. But the number is just data, right? And what happens is we put emotion in it, and you have to separate yourself from the data. And so the scale is going to go up and down every single day. That's just how life works. And you are not going to stay, I'm making this number up because I'll do math. I'm not going to stay 150 pounds every single day of my life. That's not how it's going to happen. One day I'm going to be 152. One day I'm going to be 148. One day I might be 155. One day I might be 150 on the button, right? The scale, there's so many variables that go into the scale. Am I pooping? How much water did I have? Did I have a big meal? Am I stressed out? Am I underhydrated, overhydrated? Am I getting my period? Am I on a different scale? Did I eat a meal before? Do I have clothes on? Do I not have clothes on? So many things dictate that scale. And this is what I want you to leave with. You are not a math problem, right? I much rather see you focus in on picking an outfit that you've worn in the last, let's say, 3 to 5 years, and see getting back into that outfit versus what that scale is telling you. Next is punishing workouts, right? I literally just got back from the gym, and I took a class, and I saw this guy, Brian, and I was like, "Oh, Brian, you going back into class?" And he's like, "Yeah, I have a wedding and I got to fit into this suit," right? So it happens for men and women. And so exercise is not penance. You want to move your body because you love it. You want to move your body because you know that when you leave that workout, You feel better. You know, when you leave that workout, you are in a better mindset, not because I ate something or I'm trying to fit into something and I need to like hustle and grind and push and whatever to get myself to a goal. Let's leave that in 2024. Hell, let's leave that in 1999. Okay. Skipping sleep so we can hustle more. I see this all the time. My early morning folk, I love you. I have a client who gets up at 4:30 in the morning, like 4:30. At 4:30 in the morning, I'm peeing or just turning over. She gets up at 4:30 in the morning and she goes to the gym. And I was like, are you ever tired? She said, yeah, sometimes. But she's like, it's the only time I can work out. And for her, I tell her, I would rather you go to the gym 3 days a week and not be tired than drag your ass out of the bed 5 days a week so that you can get a better workout, right? Because you can't out-exercise crappy sleep. And sleep is, especially us ladies over 40, that is where like the clock resets on so many systems in our body. So many systems require that extra sleep. The second piece of that is that, especially, as we're working through this perimenopause, menopause phase, progesterone is wonky. And progesterone is what saves us from ourselves. Progesterone is that feel-good hormone. Progesterone is that that gives you that boost up hormone. And it just isn't as reliable as it once was. So I challenge yourself, if you are that early morning workout person, I am. If I don't work out first thing in the morning, it's hard pressed for it to happen. Excuse me. But I want you to think about, I need to get that 7 hours of sleep. And if I'm unable to get that 7 hours of sleep, I want to say either go to the gym later or skip that day. Stress, badge of honor. Ugh. So many people have the busy badge, the stress badge. Is it just my life, Kim? I can't control my life. And I am a recovering stress ball. If there are meetings, let me know. I will attend. And I really was in the hustle game. I taught 14 plus classes a week, plus personal training clients, plus a full-time job. That was my life. I barely had time to sit down. And it took a toll. Like, I didn't realize how much of a toll it took on me until I packed on 30 pounds. And I couldn't get it off no matter what. It was because I was living in pure flight. That was my whole world. And I just was like, I was such a flight person. Flight was all I knew. And I was pressing on that stress button like nobody's business. And I got to tell you, what made me slow down, it was that I just hit the wall, right? I hit the brick wall going 100 miles an hour. And I got to the point where I did not give a fuck about anything. And I don't want you to get there. So the first thing I had to do was decide, what could I control and what couldn't I control? And this is when I started journaling. Like, I just had to sit down and ask myself those questions. Like, what in my day today, what is it that I can control? I can't control. Were a lot of things in my day I couldn't control. And I had to stop. I had to just come to the agreement that I could not control certain things in my day. But there's certain things I could control. I could control my reaction to it. I could control that if a coworker made me batshit crazy, I didn't have to respond to it. I could just smile and walk away. I could, if I got cut off in traffic, didn't have to get pissed off. I could be like, you know what? I could just be the better person and think like, well, maybe they're, late for work and their boss is understanding, right? So it's like, I had to start to do these small shifts in my brain so that I could start to bring down that stress level in my mind. But I had to own that stress just wasn't my life anymore, that I didn't want it to be my life. I wanted to be different because that was the one piece I was holding on to that I just had to let go. Now, this one right here, I know this one is a challenge for so many people. It's comparing yourself to what you were able to do back in your 20s and 30s. Oh, she was cute back then. Younger you was cute. But now I hope you are so much wiser, it's so much stronger, and way more fabulous. The one thing that you've gained over these several years, I hope, is wisdom, right? Wisdom into knowing what you were doing before probably wasn't sustainable. I know me and my 25-year-old self, like the 2-hour workouts aren't sustainable anymore. And, I have a client who I've been fortunate that I've worked with her for over a decade. And, when I met her, she didn't have any kids. And she's like, oh, Kim, I used to be able to do this, that, and everything under the sun. And it's like, girlfriend, you got 3 kids and one of them is special needs. So there's no way you go to the gym. And so you need to forgive yourself and give yourself latitude that, you're keeping these kids alive. And let's find a way to help you feel comfortable and confident in your body, knowing that it's okay that you are doing what you're doing. Doing it alone. Right? I see all of us, trust me, I am the most independent, stubborn person you'll ever want to meet in the entire planet. I hide it well, but doing it alone, right? Don't feel that you have to do it alone. Here's the thing. As a coach, my goal is to help you see through what you can't see through, right? As a person, I can't see the trees for the forest in my own life. And I've always worked with a coach when I feel stuck. I know a shit ton of stuff. However, as a coach, having a coach, it's really nice to be able to have a conversation, a back and forth. And if you coach with me, you realize that I don't tell you what to do. I'm like, okay, you get to choose, right? Because I want you to start to develop self-trust, that you're not so reliant on a coach, but you're also not reliant on a plan. Someone to give you a plan for you to execute. I want you to have this back and forth because I want you to have ownership. I want you to own it so that you don't feel that you are in it alone. You feel like you have some agency, but you also have someone who's got your back, that if you trip, someone's going to be there to catch you when you fall. It's more like if you were riding a bike, right, and you were trying to learning and the training wheels just came off and someone's holding onto the back of the bike. That's what I want you to think about. I'm holding on to the back of the bike. Detox teas and quick fixes. Here's the thing, right? How many quick fixes have you chased? And how many times are you back at square one or maybe back at square two, right? They don't work. They're too good to be true, right? If it's possible for you to lose 20 pounds in 20 minutes and keep it off, I would be the first person carrying the cardboard and saying, it's possible. It is not possible. Here's what I know. Slow and steady wins the race. And it's painful. It sucks that you can't lose 20 pounds in 20 minutes. If it were possible, like I said, I would be the first person to tell you. But here's the thing. How much more can we wreck our metabolism than we've already wrecked it? 2, our hormones are in a hot, steaming mess. And so I would rather you start to say, how can I be more helpful to my metabolism? How can I start to repair and rebuild my metabolism so that I am never thinking about dieting ever again? That's what I want you to think about. Now, this one right here, so many of us talk about it all the time, but ignoring strength training, right? Cardio feels good. I can hop on my Peloton and ride until, I'm blue in the face, but it's lifting heavier weights, something that's heavier than your purse. I want you to think about picking up a toddler. The average toddler is probably 20 to 30 pounds. Picking up your dog. Your dog could be a lab and it's 100 pounds, right? Picking up the dog food, the cat litter. That's what I want you to think about. How can I keep living my life as actively as possible? And strength training is what is going to enable you to do that. Skipping protein, right? And I know right now everyone's on the protein bandwagon. It's the secret sauce to helping you feel fuller. It helps you feel satisfied and satiated, but also it helps to build in that muscle process. And so think to yourself, look at what your food is eating. What are you eating for food? And see if you can add 1 more ounce of protein, another half cup of your, if it's Greek yogurt or cottage cheese or something that you measure in a cup. See if you can add just a touch more and see how you feel, right? Because, the women who have asked to eat more protein, they've reported feeling fuller. They reported being able to go 3 hours without having to eat a meal. Drinking your calories. It's really easy to go to the Starbucks and get the Mocha Loca Laca and get the Venti Trenta drink. It's really easy to do that, but it's not going to help you belly fat. So here's where we'll start to prioritize the water. Right? I'm not saying now have coffee. Like, I need coffee to start my day. I absolutely need it. However, I'm not loading up my coffee with creamers and sauces and all that other stuff, right? From time to time, have at it, but shouldn't be an everyday occurrence, multiple times a day. Negative self-talk. I see it all the time. Like, so many of us can beat the shit out of ourselves, right? Our inner child, our inner voice is like a nightmare, like just chirping away at us. And I would love for you to say, when that inner voice comes at you like guns a-blazing, I would say, like, would you say that to a friend? Start to talk to us the way we would talk to a friend. Start to talk to ourselves the way we would talk to a toddler. Like, if a toddler messed up, would you be like, hey, little buddy, you suck. Like, what the hell? Like, you're never going to get it. No, you'd be like, oh, let's try again. We could do it. Let's try it this way. Let's try it that way. Right? Instead of, going guns a-blazing, let's just give ourselves a little bit more grace. Because here's the thing, we're learning, we're navigating new waters, right? It took you a while to get to the habits we are right now. And it's going to take you a while to break up with the habits you have right now. But I want, how do we start to navigate new waters, build new, neural pathways in our brain to show us different ways to keep this weight off? Stop being perfect, Patty. You're not going to be perfect, Patty. You're not a robot. Life happens. Let's focus on how can I be consistent? And consistent is really the Fit Girl magic formula, right? Because it's like, how do I build these great habits that lead to routines, that lead to consistency, that lead to results? That's the formula. So it's all about perfect over there. But it's like, how do I start to have these days where my habits start to become who I am? And when I have those habits ingrained, that's when the consistency happens, not when perfection. Because sure, I can have several really great weeks, and then I could have several really weeks. And then what happens? If I don't have a good week, that sucks. And then most of us feel like I have to go back to the beginning. Some of you can have a bad week and go right back to where you were. Some of you are like, it's a sign, I got to go off and find something else over here, right? So let's ask ourselves, what does it take to be consistent? All right. What can you be consistent with? And that was the hard question. Endless cardio sessions. I see it all the time. When I used to work at the gym, I would see the same people come to the gym. They would walk in the door and our cardio equipment was upstairs. They go downstairs, change their clothes, go right back upstairs and hop on their favorite treadmill, elliptical, Stairmaster, whatever. But here's the thing. Less treadmill, more squats. Trust me on this. The more muscle I have in my body, the more calories I will burn at rest. This one right here, I think so many people are going to ignore. But here is where you get your motivation. It is your why. Being crystal clear on why this matters to you. And this is how it's going to help you to stay consistent. Because I live here in New England. It is now winter. It's really easy. I work out at first thing in the morning. It's dark. It's cold. It's really easy for me to just roll over and be like, yeah, I'll get to it. It's real easy. But I have a why. My why is, one, I want to be able to button my pants. That's my number one why. I'm vain AF. Two, I want to be the example. I can't say to you, don't roll over. It's cold. I want to be like, I was cold, I didn't want to, and I got out of bed. I want that for you. I want to be an example to you, a role model to you, so that you don't feel like, well, Kim skips, right? Or be a hypocrite and be like, I went to the gym this morning. No, I didn't, right? I want to be a role model that, I struggle. I openly share that, I ain't got this on lock. Sometimes I struggle too. And your why is your motivation. So many of us I'm not motivated. I need more discipline. I need more willpower. No, you need a why. You need to figure it out. And, I have a client who I asked her, I'm like, well, what's your why? Like, 'cause she's like, Kim, I just can't seem to get my shit together. And I was like, well, what's your why? And she's like, I want to go to the beach and not feel like I have to cover up right there. I'm like, so when I'm laying in bed and I don't want to, that's when I ask myself that question. Like, I want to go to the beach and I don't want to cover up. And is this going to get me there? That's your why. Skipping the basics. So many of you guys want to do advanced math, advanced trig, but no one wants to do the basics. And the basics are what is going to get you, is when life gets crazy, and it always does, the basics is what I always want to pull you back to, right? So the basics is like water. How much water are you drinking? How much sleep are you getting? Are you getting in your steps? Are we getting in our protein, right? And it's not sexy. And trust me, I am not the sexy coach. I'm always going to be that basic coach, because guess what? I know the basics work. And I know that once you nail the basics and you get really good at the basics, then we can start adding on. But until you get good at the basics, I'm going to keep you here. And I know this is frustrating, but I know that when I nail this, oh, girl, I'm going to be so good. I won't need willpower. I won't need discipline, because I just got my shit on lock. That's what I want for you. Weekends, right? Here's the thing. One bad meal does not erase all of your good choices. Jerry Seinfeld, right? He, comedian, and he had a thing called Don't Break the Streak. But hear me out. So as he was going through, and like every day he would put an X on the board every time he wrote a joke. Now, if he missed a day, he was like, okay, I missed a day, but I'm going to get right back on. And that's the same thing with your meal. So let's say you eat 3 meals a day. There's 7 days a week, 21 meals. There you have 21 meals in 1 week. What if I didn't have 2 meals? So now that's 19 meals that were great and 2 meals that were not so great. Does that blow up my world? No, it doesn't. And in fact, I always tell people, like, most of us in our 40s, let's be honest, you don't have those like, hey girl, hey, we're going here moments. Most of us have a pre-planned weeks of like, so-and-so's having a party, or there's this, there's that, there's so forth. So we can start to be better planners around our weekends and start to say, okay, this is what has to happen. Oh, okay, I'm going to use this as a treat, but I'm going to be more mindful here, right? So that's where I want us to start thinking about when it comes to our weekends versus like, Jesus, take the wheel if the weekends happen. So I'd love to hear how you are handling weekends. All right, so we're last 4. Hang with me, girls. Last 4. People pleasing. And I see it all the time. People pleasing, and I'm going to go /boundaries, is that no is a complete sentence. And I did a podcast on this years ago about tiger time. And my workouts are my tiger time. And I'm fiercely protective of my workouts, because I know that it's one of the few times that I do stuff for me. I spend most of my day doing stuff for my clients, doing stuff for other people, but it's my tiger time. And I know that for many of you listening to here, we got kids, aging parents, more than a full-time job. And I want you to come up with some amount of time that you, even if it's 15 minutes, carve out that time for you. Because I promise you, if you carve out the 15 minutes of time for yourself, you're going to be like, I want more. All right. And my tigers, I have 2 tiger times. My mornings are my tiger time. I love a slow morning. I was the girl who would like get up and run out the door to teach a class. Get up, run out the door, train a client. Get up, run out the door. And I overslept one time, and I slowly started to back away from my mornings. And when I started to do that, I started to really appreciate my mornings. And now it's like, I get up, I have a nice cup of coffee. I journal, I work out, and then I start my day. And it just changed how I got into my day. Maybe you're like, girl, I can't do that. Great, no worries. Maybe it's lunchtime. Maybe you like carve out 30 minutes for you to actually step away from your desk. Maybe you go for a walk. Maybe you hide in the bathroom. I don't know. But you give yourself the time that is just you time. And you are no longer the people pleasing. And then also started to learn how to say no to shit you don't want to do. maybe instead of baking the cookies, you freaking buy them. That's okay. Or maybe like, hey, no, this isn't a good time. Can I do it in February? And be okay with it. No is a complete sentence. Blaming your age. I see it all the time. Oh, Kim, I'm 40 something years old. I'm 50 something years old. Menopause. Blah. Menopause isn't a death sentence. It now is, I'm learning a new dance, right? If think about back in the day before the TikTok dances, remember we used to watch MTV and you were glued to MTV and whatever was on, you learned the dance, right? You learned the Thriller dance. You learned the Britney Spears dance. You learned the dance. We are now learning the dance. That's where we are right now. So no more blaming our age. It's just coming up with a new chapter and new strategies. That's where I come in. I'm working with you on new strategies. And again, you ain't going to nail it. You ain't going to be the perfect Patty. But we go back to the basics. Revisiting this one, chase the quick fix, right? I see it all the time, hey, take this magic supplement, take this magic elixir, and all your problems will go away. No, your problems ain't gonna fucking go away until you nail the basics. Don't pass go, don't collect $200. You're too busy. This is the number one thing I get, time, right? So it goes back to the people pleasing. Am I doing things in my day that I no longer need to do? Can someone else do it? Can I delegate it? Can I just delete it from my life? And then how do we start to prioritize you? And again, it starts with as simple as 15 minutes. I had a client who's a, very successful woman. She's like, Kim, I'm just so busy. And I'm like, okay. And she absolutely loved her dogs. And I said, could you just take, 15 minutes and just pet your dogs? Just 15 minutes. I'm like, and she like squirmed. And I said, how about 5 minutes, just pet your dog and not be scrolling on your phone. Just be like in the moment, petting your dogs. And when she did it, she goes, it felt really good. Right. So I want you to start to get those feel good moments in your day and not get that high from being busy, right? Being busy Betty. And you don't, last but not least, we've made it to the end. You don't have to do it all. Right? Pick your battles. Pick a few things that matter the most to you. I rattled off 24 of these things. I got 24 more. If you want to hop on my email list, I will email them out to you. 25 more myths that need to leave in 2024 and steps to achieve, steps to work around them. I got them all there in my list here. And now I hear this, right? So many of you might be feeling overwhelmed, but I want to remind you, I asked you to pick 1 to 3 things, right? That's it. Small changes over time lead to big results. And don't forget to share what you're leaving behind. I want to know that just as much as I want to know. I want to cheer you on. I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you when you stumble. I want to encourage you when you've cleared that hurdle. All right. So here's to make it 2025 an amazing year. And let's go get our magic makers. And I will see you in 2025. Enjoy the rest of your year.
Thank you for listening to the Fit Girl Magic podcast. If you've made it this far, yay. I'm thinking you enjoyed the show. Let's continue the conversation on Instagram. You can find me at Kim Jefferson Coach. In order for me to keep sharing this message, do me a favor and leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe so that you won't miss an episode. New episodes are available every Wednesday. The Fit Girl Magic podcast is intended to provide you with tips, tools, and strategies that will help you make better decisions about your health. I really appreciate your feedback and your support. Thank you so much.